Hello and welcome to the Tavern Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. And today, I'm looking at the DMG for first edition. Now, whenever I look at the DMG, the Dungeon Master's Guide, I always find shit that I never really looked at before. And it still blows my mind. And I was going to talk about Boot Hill and gamma rules and the conversion rules they included, and those are interesting. That might come up tomorrow. But just like a dog with squirrels, right? Oh, squirrel! I found myself getting distracted by Appendix P. Now, what is Appendix P? Well, on page 225, the DMG, creating a party on the spur of the moment. All right, fair enough. There are times, often if you attend many conventions, when you will have a group of players desiring to adventure in a campaign who have no suitable characters with which to do so. Now, my experience at conventions is, for the most part, you're given pre-gen characters, right? The DM has already done them up. They're either dealt out or maybe you choose. But generally, they're pre-gens, unless you're playing in Swords and Wizardry Light, right? And if using that, I can get you a character generated in 10 to 15 minutes with a whole table doing it. But for the most part, you don't generate characters at the table. But in this case, the assumption is you will be. You might want only low, medium, or high-level characters for the particular scenario you have in mind, and regardless of level, it is certain that you will not wish to have ultra-powerful, considering character levels, or strange magic items in the group. It therefore becomes necessary to have the party generate special characters on the spot, and this takes up valuable playing time. In order to reduce this to a minimum, the following system, one which I have developed per force from DMing many conventions, is suggested. By the way, I don't recall ever seeing the word per force used anywhere. All right, this is one of those words when I was a teen, I would have seen that, and I would have, as usual, with Gygaxian English, I would have divined the proper usage and definition of the language based upon the context. All right, so he has players roll 46, discard the low die, and arrange as they like. Okay, fair enough. Race and class, chosen afterwards. Alignment. Now, his alignment suggestion is good not just for a convention game, but for any campaign game that you're running. Make certain that the alignments allowed to participants are not so diverse as to cause a breakdown in the game due to player quarrels. You may be required to select from 2 or 3 compatible alignment types if you think best, such as neutral, neutral good, and lawful neutral, for example. Level. For low level, you might use random dice to find out if player levels are 1 to 2, 1 to 3, 2 to 4. Medium might be 5 to 7, 5 to 8, 7 to 9. Upper range is typically 8 to 10, 8 to 11, 9 to 12. Now, think about that. Although, right, we have spell charts going up to, level 30 for magic users, some shit like that. Gary considers the upper range to be level 12, which would be 6-level spells. So even Gary is telling you right here that the assumption is you're not going to be running stuff higher than that. And why is that? Because built into the game was name level, where your characters could get a tower or a fort or a temple or a thieves guild, right? And once you started getting followers, and once you had planted your flag and had land, well, that was going to occupy that character's time. They became, I think the assumption was they're going to become a quasi NPC, and a henchman would then take up, or one of their followers would now take up the adventuring mantle. But in any case, again, interesting. Standard equipment basically says Let them choose what they want as long as they're not first level characters. And after choosing it, go from there to reviewing what they chose, make sure nothing is bizarre, and they're not over encumbering themselves. And by the way, I overlooked something with the level. I would have thought, being that the assumption is that experience points are what balanced out AD&D, right? So different experience point charts balances out the classes. But here, the assumption is you're all going to be the same level. So XP doesn't really balance it out. So that's a whole other topic I can probably delve into. He has a chart for protective items. And your players get the chance, it's a percentage chance based upon their level to roll for a shield if they're capable of using it. Magic armor, typically +1, and it can only roll for one type of magic armor. So you better be prepared to say, do I want to roll for plate at only 6% chance per level? Or do I want to roll for chain where it's a 10% chance per level if you're a fighter? You gotta worry about that. Casters get a chance to get rings of protection, including thieves. Magic users could get braces, but understand a 10th level magic user only has a 40% chance of getting braces of AC 6. So does this mean that maybe when you were running your campaign, the assumption is that you've been giving away too much? Certainly sounds like it, because you could have a 5th level character here with no magic items whatsoever. Now, when you roll this, you could have, there's a 1% chance per level experience of the character that an item will be above average. In other words, +2, or braces of AC 5. Okay. And if you have an above average item, you get to roll again to see if it goes up to +3, or braces of AC 4. Straight 1% chance per level. Okay. Scrolls, obviously, magic users and illusionists have the best chances. But the scrolls given, whether it's to a cleric or to a spellcaster or even a thief, max at level 4 unless it's for a magic user, in which case it's level 6. So again, you got to look at this and say, Gary was working on an assumption for the power level for these games. And even he would probably say stuff breaks down after a certain level. Magical weapons are divided by daggers, sword. In the case of druids, that would be a scimitar. Mace, battle axe, spear, bow, magic bolts. If you get magic bolts, they're +2. But no chance of magic arrows, apparently. Unless you want to count the bolts as, I guess, arrows too. I don't know. Chance for potions. Druids had the best chance of having a potion. Why that would be, I don't know. 11% chance per level. Magic users and illusionist, 10. Thieves, 9. Fighters, 8. Rangers, 7. Paladins and clerics, 6. Assassins, 5%. Now, there's a maximum number of potions that a character can choose from. I would assume that the only way you can get beyond the maximum is to somehow have a chance over 100%, but then magic users can have 3, and I don't know how you would get 3. In any case, there's a list of 10 potions. Now, it also tells you which potions Gary thought were the most useful. Climbing, diminution, extra healing, fire resistance, flying, gaseous form, growth, healing, invisibility, polymorph, self. There's also a chance for miscellaneous items if the characters are 5th level and above and going to a hazardous area, or 8th level or above, above 8th level. And then you can throw in things like Featherfall Ring, Warmth Ring, Water Walking Ring, Wand of Negation, Wand of Wonder, Bag of Holding, folding boat, brooch of shielding, cloak and boots of elven kind, javelin of lightning, pair, javelin of piercing, pair, necklace of adaptation, robe of useful items, which is, the breakdown is given underneath for it, rope of climbing, trident of warning, wings of flying, or boots of levitation. When you are thoroughly familiar with this system, you'll be able to ready a party of players for an adventure with a minimum amount of time and effort on your part, and do so with relative assurance that they will be about right for the area they will adventure in. I don't know. Even when I wasn't the early Monty Hole DM that I was, I can't see a player not having, only having a 70% chance of having a +1 sword at 7th level. But like I said, the most insightful thing here is Gary's assumptions. And his assumptions on what low-level play is and what high-level play is. High-level play is from levels like 8, 9 to 12. Interesting, right? So Gary did not expect. I mean, and yeah, here's the other thing too. If you're running an adventure, a high-level adventure as a pickup game, you probably should make sure your players have the right items for it. They probably would if it was a campaign session. So, just a thought. But yeah, I never saw this section in the DMG, or I never remembered reading it in the DMG. So I just thought that kind of stood out, and I was like, time to peek at that. All right, folks. On that note, we are still in the midst of the world of COVID. Please use your common sense. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to fucking tell you what to do. Most of you are adults, or at least role-playing them. So, role-play some common sense. Be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, knock on wood. I'll be back again tomorrow. Later, folks.